Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start packing our box here. I packed it once already before I started making this, so you guys can see how it goes. Again, it's kind of a no-brainer. You'll probably end up having to play with it just a little bit, so you can get things in there right. But ultimately, it's not going to be very difficult. One thing you want to make sure of is some of this stuff is going to have the ability to crush, like our glass bottle of hot sauce here. You're going to want to make sure you pack that in such a manner that it's not going to get smashed if this thing gets kind of treated just a little rough. Obviously, being the kind of box it is, it's not going to take a whole lot of abuse anyway. So, I'm going to put the hand sanitizer in last because it needs to be the first item out. Okay. With this foil, these little baking pans that I have, one thing you want to watch out for is you make sure that they're not going to be in a position where they're going to get punctured, because ultimately they're going to be holding something that has, it's pretty liquidy, so watch out for that. Okay, I can use those napkins to protect that glass bottle. Okay, so again, last thing that's going to go in here is that Purell or whatever hand sanitizer. A heavy alcohol-based hand sanitizer, what you want. Okay. Lastly, I've got two labels that I made for this meal. Pretty much outlines the contents of the box. Okay, the one other thing I want to add to this is going to be a trash bag. It's important. Make sure you take out what you take in. One idea that might be a little bit more modular would be to just use the grocery bags that you got when you purchased this stuff. Use those for your trash, because again, just like I talked about earlier, if we're only going to feed, say, 6 people, 5, 6, and we're only going to use 2 cans of each item, then all of a sudden we're generating less trash. So are we going to use, one huge trash bag just to take care of, 6 small cans and some paper plates and stuff? That's kind of overkill. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lid on the box. Now I've got all my contents in there. I think everything's pretty secure in a little shake. See if anything's going to fall over. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to get my my tape here. Okay, don't use duct tape on these. Duct tape seems like tough tape, but it's really not. Okay, get packing tape. It's designed for cardboard boxes. It's going to last a little while. Okay, I'm going to put one label on the top. I'm going to tape it around the sides. The reason for that is I don't want people sneaking in here, taking an item out, and I think I've got all the contents here, and next thing I know, when I open this up in the field, I'm missing all my main course cans. So, okay, the way I was talking about sealing this is I'm going to take and I'm going to put this over the top right here. I'm going to tape this on quite heavily. That way, if somebody tries to pull the top of the box off, they're going to have to break this in order to get it off. Okay. One thing you might want to do is, depending on how you're going to plan on storing these, you may want to put a label on the end of it as well. The reason for that being is this way, if you have, say, several stored like this, you'll be able to look right at it and tell what you got in it. But plan on storing it like that. I can see on one side and see on the top what I got. Now the last thing that's important, I want to make sure that I put that expiration date on there. Okay, so this meal expires on 19th of June 2008. Okay, so right now it's February. I've got a few months to eat this thing, but we're gonna have to eat it soon. I'm gonna also write that here. Okay, the very last thing I want to mention, now that we've got this sealed, I put an extra layer of tape just around the corners here. This way it's not gonna, come apart or anything. It adds to the overall strength of it too. Don't forget to include your water. Wherever you put this water stays with it. If you're in the State Guard, State Defense Force, whatever, you're gonna want to put a label on here and make sure nobody steals your water, okay? Not so much that they're out to steal it, it's just the fact that they'll take some thinking that it's just part of anybody can have supply. They need to understand that this water goes with this meal. You never open one without opening the other, okay? The one last thing I want to mention is the price. Okay, I mentioned I went to a store in New Mexico. There's one that is rather inexpensive. It's kind of a discount store. They carry some grocery items. They're called Big Lots. I'm not sure if they're a national chain or not. But anyway, that's where all this food came from. They've got a lot of kind of dollar store type items. So the spoons and the can opener, I kind of mentioned that. Those would roughly cost $1. Most of the items that went in this were not very expensive. The corn was like 55 cents a can, and the apricots were 60 cents. The most expensive thing I put in here was the chicken and dumplings, and I think they were coming in at roughly $1.60 a can. Bottom line is this. This whole meal was packaged with the water, everything included. This meal was made for roughly $35. Okay, I could cut down on that price just a little bit. I could have one less tin than I have in here, for the baking pan. I could have one less of those. I could have one less spoon, just have one single serving spoon. It would be smart for food preparation that you make sure that you at least have one metal spoon or one wooden spoon around, because you're going to have a lot of food there, especially if you're preparing the entire meal. You're going to have a lot of food there to have to stir, so you don't want to go ultra cheap and try to get away with using a little tiny plastic spoon. That's just too cheap. So anyway, $35. You can hunt around for better deals. Some places have Costco and that kind of thing. We have the Sam's Club here. You can find those kind of deals. Again, try to keep it modular. If you use those really large cans, that's fine if you got a lot of troops to feed. But where we don't necessarily know sometimes how many troops we're going to have show up, or if we're going to have people say that are looking at joining our unit, that kind of thing, we have the ability to feed them too. So it gives us a little bit of modularity in our logistical practices. So anyway, thanks for watching. Again, got any questions, feel free to post it on the comment section on YouTube.